Hello, this is Danny Pollard, and I'd like to introduce you to our new venture that is called Snitchingon at snitchingon.com and Snitchingon video channel on YouTube. And what better way to launch it than to do it on the national holiday celebrating the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And in fact, that will actually be our first topic, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. birthday and where we are in relation to his legacy and his dream. I have more than a passing interest in Dr. Martin Luther King. I visited the National Historic Site in Atlanta, Georgia, and I've also visited the Martin Luther King Monument in Washington, D.C. And in addition to that, I've also written a book called What Would Dr. King Think About Today's Black America? And in honor of his birthday, you can go to Amazon.com and search on D.T. Pollard, which is my pen name, or search on the title, What Would Dr. King Think About Today's Black America? And that book is absolutely free for anyone to download on Dr. King's birthday. But what I really want to talk about is the dream that Dr. King had. He celebrated his last birthday alive January 15th, 1968, which was now 48 years ago, before he was felled by an assassin's bullet in April of that same year. Where are we in relation to his birthday? His legacy is everywhere. You can find Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard, drive, streets, and what have you, all across the country. The disappointing thing about that is most of the time, if you drive down Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, street, or avenue, anywhere in the country, you most likely are going to be in a very impoverished area of that particular city or town. What message is that really sending? Is it sending a message that, yes, we're honoring Dr. King with a street in his name? Or is it a message that here's where we are in relation to that? You have your name on the street, but it's in one of the poor parts of any city in America. We really need to think deeply on that. And some people will say, well, those streets usually are in a minority neighborhood or in a black neighborhood. That does not have to be a one-to-one correlation of it being in a black neighborhood and being in an impoverished area. That was the opposite of the dream. We no longer have to sit on the back of the bus. We no longer have to go to an inferior school because we can't go anywhere else. We no longer have to eat in the kitchen of the restaurant. We can eat out front with everyone else. And we can go apply to any job that we want and get the education to be qualified for those jobs and get the skill level to be qualified for any job in the country. So it's the question of why are we where we are? Or it's the question of did we not do what we needed to do to be in a better position than we are now? The other issue is I'm tired of dreaming about body bags. Body bags that are hauled away from street sides, that are hauled away from jails, that are hauled away from some location where we had an unfortunate encounter with law enforcement. The names Mike Brown, Sandra Bland, Freddie Gray, Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, Christian Taylor. And those are the ones that gather a lot of attention because it involved encounters from people from our community with law enforcement. But there are countless others that are hauled away in body bags at the hands of people that look just like us. And those names are so many that they often don't even seem to get recorded or reported in a, widespread manner. So we have to take into account what others are doing to us and what we are doing to ourselves. Now, I highly doubt that was part of the dream, that 48 years later, from his last birthday celebrated as a living being on this earth, that we would have this type of situation going on in our communities. Encounters with law enforcement and also encounters with each other that end in the final ride from which we will never return. So going forward to honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King and to honor his birthday, and then shortly after that, Black History Month, we need to examine what can we do to rekindle the dream, particularly in a time where we're ending the last term of the first African American president of the United States, which would indicate we have a highly schizophrenic situation where we have one of us with his hands on the very top reins of power, and at the same time, we have to march in the streets to remind everyone that Black lives matter. There's a huge void in the middle that we need to fill and figure out what we need to do to take actions to fill that void so that we don't keep dreaming of body bags carrying away our future potential on its way to the graveyard. Because when Dr. King said, "I have a dream," I don't think he meant that 48 years later that dream would be a nightmare. Thank you, and have a good Dr. Martin Luther King national holiday.